So we're very happy to be here. I'm Margault Phelip from Archipel&Co. We help companies design and implement inclusive businesses, so I'm very happy to be here. And very happy to share this moment with our 4 speakers. I'm not going to introduce themselves because they're going to do it in our 30-second challenge. So this session is a bit special. I hope you're going to enjoy it and you're going to encourage your speakers, because I'm going to ask so many questions and they will have only 30 seconds to answer. So I guess you'll have a lot of information, and I hope you're going to be able to follow the path. So I'll start right away. Not introducing you, but we have Garance, Adam, Guillaume, and Debritu. So I'll start with my first question. Can each one of you, in less than 30 seconds, please introduce yourself? Debritu, would you start?
My name is Debritu. I represent today an upcoming new company, Turubuna. It is also linked to a very exciting brand, Moyee coffee, based in Holland and working in Ethiopia.
Thank you. Garance?
So I'm Garance. I don't represent a new upcoming company, but an old upcoming company called AXA. That's an insurance company that's global around the world, and I head their AXA Emerging Customers business, which I'll tell you about in a second.
Thank you. Adam, what about you?
Hello, everybody. My name is Adam, and I co-founded a company called WSV, which actually spun out of Enactus, where many of the activators are from. WSV works with organizations who are working at the base of the pyramid, so people living on less than $2 a day, be that NGOs or corporates with their supply chains in places like Africa. And we help them to set up social businesses, either through a portfolio of social franchises, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a minute.
Hard.
That's 25 euros.
What about you, Guillaume?
I don't know who I am most of the time, but I feel like I invented my job. I feel like a social architect. I design spaces and tools for open, safe, and creative societies. And my organization supports a global community of refugee, migrant, and local citizens who contribute to inclusive societies.
So Adam, let's give you another chance. What is the specificity and the difference of social franchise?
So I'm hoping many of you have heard of social enterprise before, which is commonly defined as using commercial strategy to maximize social impact. Social franchising is very similar, using franchising strategy to maximize social impact. So creating replicable, sustainable solutions with a system built around them to be able to maximize impact, which is really new in the NGO sector.
Thank you. And speaking about words, Guillaume, your entity is called SINGA. What makes it different from other NGOs?
Well, if you speak Swahili and you speak Pashto and I speak Farsi, we need something very easy to exchange and very easy to remember. So it can be long, it can be complicated. So that's the reason why we called SINGA, because we are user-centric.
Debritu? Can you tell us also the specificity and difference about the name of your organization?
Yes. So I will talk about Moyee coffee, and today I will talk a lot about coffee. Ethiopia is known for coffee. The farmers from Ethiopia receive only 2% of what is earned in coffee, and our company is especially focused on industrialization of the coffee sector and roasting in Ethiopia. So we call ourselves Fair Chain Coffee Company.
Wow.
And we all speak about fair trade. What is the specificity about fair chain? I'm sorry, I'm giving another chance because I want this answer.
So in fact, fair trade have been doing a good job, and I think we can do even better, because fair chain is to really make the chain fairer. Instead of gaining 2% of the value of the coffee, we would like to gain 50%.
And Garance, your activity is called Emerging Customers, We know it's also a special word. Can you tell us about the specificity and why did you want it to have a different word than the one I'm not going to pronounce because you're going to say it?
She says that because the one I don't want us to pronounce is microinsurance. It's like he who must not be named in Harry Potter. No, the reason is that we try to address two things differently. It is small insurance to the vulnerable. Microinsurance is usually only insurance you add to a loan that's been taken out. We are creating products that address all risks, and not only to the lower below poverty line, but to those that are actually already too rich to be poor, but that are not rich enough to be rich. So they're too rich.
And Garance, you work in a company, AXA.
Oh, I have to shut up now.
Whose mission is to manage risk. So how can you innovate and introduce difference when you're in a company that don't really like risk?
Oh no, insurance likes risk. It likes to share risks. So I have two mottos for my team. The first is to live happy, live hidden. And the second is to ask for forgiveness and not the permission. So sometimes I take risks and I tell them after, or I share the risks with them.
Thank you. So maybe Adam, what kind of difference does your organization try to value and for what kind of stakeholders?
So for us, we put a huge amount of focus on this local entrepreneur who is the person who runs each of the different things that we do. And they're really, really key because they are incentivized to sustain the solutions. So they're incentivized to create the impact in the local communities that they work in. And by supporting them through this franchise system with NGOs, with corporates, and ourselves, we're actually able to create a sustainable solution, a sustainable impact.
What about you, Guillaume?
Albert Einstein, we talked about him earlier, who is a refugee from Germany and mostly freaking cool scientist, used to say, everybody is a genius, but you can't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. So I think at SINGA, what we value is swimming.
Great. What about you, Debritu?
So the difference, what we have at Moyee Coffee is, in fact, we process the product in the country of origin, and we hope that chocolate or other products like gold or diamond will follow our what we are doing, because Africa is poor, but Africa could be less poor if we pay the better price.
And Garance, what kind of difference do you actually fight for in your business? What kind of value do you give to difference?
Well, in general, it sounds corny, but it's about taking into account differences, and we've made many mistakes. So now we've stopped thinking that we knew what we were talking about, and we value the fact that we go and see literally go and see our customers before creating any product, which is not something the insurance industry is used to doing. Usually they create a product and then sell it. Here we talk to the client and then create the product.
And they manage to give you good ideas?
Does this count in the 30 seconds, or can I? Actually, they give us not only good ideas, but they make us create the opposite of the products we thought we would create. But then I need another 30 seconds to give you an example.
I'll give you a chance. Adam, what value does difference actually bring to innovation?
So for us, it's really key. We have many levels to it. So we have the consumers, we have the entrepreneurs who run the micro businesses, we have the NGOs that support them, we have universities researching ideas, we have WSV at a kind of network level supporting ideas. And being able to generate innovation at each of those levels is amazing for us. And then being able to spread that through a franchise system so that it can be replicated across all the different places we work is just awesome.
Debritu, how do you create the conditions to have a different look? You had a different look on the coffee industry. How do you manage to have this different perspective?
So being Ethiopian and living in Holland for the last 32 years, I was able to see the differences between the two countries. In fact, Africa and Europe, and then, yeah, I think, like he said, it's not rocket science to understand that when you have a product and then you are paid 2% for that product, that poverty is not far from you. So it was easy to see.
How can you explain that nobody had this idea before you?
In fact,
Not rocket science.
yeah, I don't think nobody had it. I think many people had that idea, but going to action, maybe this is the difference. The difference of Moyee, going into action. Yeah.
Okay, great. Guillaume, can you tell me a story about the best surprise you had innovating with difference?
So it's a very recent one. Months ago, I met with a friend for drinks, and he used to be a student in political science. And so he told me he created a social business selling honey, and the product is good. It's good for health. It's good for the planet because they produce it in France and distribute it by bike. And it's, sorry, I'm stressed by this. I can see it. And I want to finish this story.
So why was it a surprise?
No, but I mean, it's good for time. Like, it's a good product. It's good for health. It's good for the planet, and it's also good because the way they do it is inclusive. They have refugees who actually make the honey, so it's for time good. And when I realized that, I was like, "Fuck, I know Steve Jobs."
That's a surprise. And Debritu, what about you? What was your best surprise when innovating with difference?
In fact, in 2007, I started another coffee brand, and then we were two people, maybe too much on the marketing side, too much on the product side, and not really on the raising fund, you know. So in 2010, I had to stop because I was losing money. And in 2012, I was invited by Moyee Coffee to join the movement. So this was a surprise of my life.
And Garance, I'm going to ask you the nice question. What was your best failure trying to innovate with difference?
I created the wrong product. I created a product for people who I thought were in need of liquidity. So it's a life insurance product that when the person unfortunately dies, the money is accessible very easily because it's associated with a savings product. And people actually wanted it to be illiquid because on payday, people from the village come and see them and say, "Pay me," and they say, "Sorry, I can't." The insurance said no.
Okay. And Adam, do you have also a nice failure to share with us with a nice learning afterwards?
I think it's unfair that they get a timer and we don't. So I think we get a failure every day. There's another challenge, another problem. But I think probably the biggest one for us and the one we learned most from was the need to understand the perspective people are learning from with relation to business. So we're working with NGOs, many of them which are very small local NGOs who don't have a huge amount of business experience. So we started and we went too hard, too fast. Now we've slowed that down.
And Guillaume, when was your hardest time trying to advocate for difference?
Since we started SINGA, we received multiple death threats. But I think it's not the hardest time. The hardest time was before we started, because I've been working for one of the biggest NGOs in the world and I felt useless. And I think since 2011, we haven't been advocating for diversity. We've been advocating for interactions, for education, for innovation with diversity. And it's the old difference, not for, with.
Nice. What about you, Debritu? When was your hardest time advocating for innovation with difference, let's say?
In fact, you need to have the right time. In 2007, maybe we were also a little bit in advance on the sort of fair chain. So the right time it seems today, for example, because I don't think this movement 10 years ago, 20 years ago would have so many attendees. So the right time should be the best. Yeah.
And Garance, you try to do the right product for the right person, which means, I guess, many other products, maybe higher cost. What are the counter-arguments that you face when you try to advocate for the specificity of each one of the products or targets that you address?
That it's not profitable enough, because I'm looking for volume, because the premiums of the insurance products are very low, that it doesn't go quickly enough, and that the clients are not senior enough, so to speak. So they don't accept that much of a difference, but they're starting to.
And how do you do?
How do I prove it? Well, I start with a pilot. I don't necessarily tell everyone to start with. I implement the pilot, and usually it's extremely successful, and people ask for more, and that's where I'm able to raise more funds.
Great.
Hi, we have a question here from the floor. Can you tell us each, you've given us some examples, can you tell us something actually concrete that you've done through diversity that's created something innovative and changed your business?
Would you like me to start? I'm always worried about the clock. Well, actually, we've created a whole range of products that don't have exclusions. So I don't know if you're used to filling in insurance, health forms, etc. But we've created products that don't ask any question to our clients. And so we take them through a very different customer journey that's not linked to excluding them by including them. And now the company has decided to start using these products for the richer of their clients.
So one of the big challenges the organizations we work with face is gathering data, so measurement and evaluation. And they kept coming back with these different challenges, taking them too long, they were losing stuff, it was all paper-based. So that actually ended up with us developing a data collection app for them to be able to use in the communities they work in, just to simplify the whole process for them. I actually did it this time.
So, I don't know where you. Okay. So there's two things very concrete that we've created through diversity. The first one is a platform for French families to welcome refugees at their place. They live together during 1 year, and they get access to jobs, to learning language, people exchange a lot. And the second thing is, because we wanted to be the first to actually spot the Marie Curie of our time, we created incubators, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs who change the world.
If you want, can you give an example?
In fact, myself, I'm Ethiopian and living in Holland. So it was obvious that I could see the difference between the two countries. And Ethiopia is exporting coffee for the last 300 years for $2 a kilo. And then the Ethiopian coffee is around $25. So to have a balanced price.
Adam, how far can difference be an opportunity? Does it make it more difficult sometimes?
It certainly makes it more difficult, but our entire business is built on difference. There's NGOs are lacking a certain level of skill in terms of business acumen, business knowledge, but they have the local understanding, the local knowledge of how the communities work. They have access to the local entrepreneurs who are so key in our entire model. So being able to bring together those different people creates a much, much more sustainable solution as long as everybody listens and understands.
Improving. And Guillaume, how far can it be an opportunity?
So in 7 years, we've trained 7,000 citizens who became buddies. They've done a lot of things together, going to play soccer, whatever they want. Roommates, they live together. But also we've trained 211 entrepreneurs who created 211 companies and more than 300 jobs. and also they kind of revolution the multiple areas, sectors where they work in.
Great. Debritu, as a different person, how far should you stand for differences, or on the contrary, fight for being treated as anyone when you innovate, when you are an entrepreneur?
So by being different, it's in fact we can see differently the problems or the advantage as well. And in Holland, I live for 32 years, but I'm still Ethiopian. I can see differences between the two countries and bring new way on. It's like having a different glass than a Dutch person who is giving a solution.
And maybe to finish, each one of you part of very different organizations. What kind of invitation could you do to each other, or maybe to the audience, in order to innovate with and for differences? Who wants to start? I let you choose.
I would like to talk with AXA, because in Ethiopia we have an old kind of insurance. So I would like to talk to you later.
Done.
I'll join on top of that. I'd like to talk to you guys as well. We've got a
That's
whole...
just because I'm blonde, I know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
We'll have a separate conversation.
Why would you like to talk to Garance?
So we have a lot of entrepreneurs, and we've been looking at different insurance options for those micro businesses that they have. So really interested to talk about that. And then also just as a general call to action, anybody with supply chains in developing countries, in particular Africa, would love to talk to you about the work that you do and how we might be able to help you as well.
So Garance, everybody wants to talk with you. What kind of invitation for partnership and innovation could you do?
I want to talk to Guillaume. No, I want to talk to everyone who can work with me to push the frontiers of insurability. It's about migrants who are very difficult to protect, who I would really like to protect. I want to protect the people that they send money to at home. I want to protect women who are now enabled to have different forms of life. They're allowed to get married, not get married, have children, not have children, be at the head of startups, and the insurance industry has blanket ignored the retirement gap, all of these things. And so I like to talk to people who can help me do that. So basically it's a call for action to everyone. Let's just push the borders, and honestly, all insurers are ready to do that. It's a question of asking. I really think so.
Thank you. And Guillaume, what kind of invitation for innovation would you like to do?
Yeah, so I have an invitation for the three of you and for everybody. Is as a person, you can engage locally. You just sign up on SINGA.io, and you will have access to a lot of opportunities, things you can do that can change the game. But also as a company, most companies have products that can become incentives for people to meet together. So it could be coffee, but it could be, I don't know how insurance could be an incentive for people to meet, but
not
I'm sure
underestimate insurance.
But it can be ice creams, it can be anything pretty much. And the last thing is SINGA becomes global this year, so we start a SINGA Commons Foundation. And we want to find partners, funding partners. We want to change the world with us. So any company who's interested is welcome.
Thank you. I'll give a last chance. Did each one of you felt frustrated by the 30-second challenge? Do you have anything more to say? Or...
Drink Moyee coffee.
No, you have 2 seconds.
Yeah, drink Moyee coffee. It's not yet in France, it's in Holland, but we can send it by post. And hopefully in half a year, we will be in France.
I'm here all day, so I'm happy to meet with people where you're.
Likewise, and check out wsv.global.
Pitch moment.
I love the 30-second challenge. No, I'm here also if people want to talk about insuring and protecting more people they know who can't get insurance.
Well, thank you very much, the four of you. It's not an easy exercise, so I think they deserve an applause. Thank you very much.